back to Makeup with Michigan Michelle. My name is Michelle, as you probably know, and today we are focusing on a cooking segment. Today we're making stuffed grape leaves. Now they're called a few different things depending on the particular person that's describing them. Some people call them dolmas. You may have heard them in Arabic called warak arish. There's a few different names. So for all intents and purposes, I'm just calling them stuffed grape leaves. Now there's two different variations. There's actually the meat version, and then there's a vegetarian version. We're making the meat version today, so you won't need that many ingredients, but you will need a lot of time. So I want to jump right into this. I'll lay out the ingredients for you, and I'll kind of show you some tips and tricks along the way, and as a bonus, you will learn how to stuff a grape leaf. So have fun with this. It's something great to get involved with your friends or family on, especially if you have a few hours to burn, and it's a great time to talk as you're rolling the grape leaf. So thanks again for watching. Follow me on Instagram, Makeup with Michigan Michelle. As always, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Let me know what you think. If you like more of these things, let me know in the comments below. Bye! So these are your basic ingredients for getting started with stuffed grape leaves. As you can see, the main star of this is going to be our grape leaf. So this brand I actually purchased from the local Middle Eastern store. It's called Greenland Market. And the brand, I'm probably saying it completely wrong, but it's Alafia. And I've noticed that if you can find the leaves with more of a yellowish color, they tend to be better. So 1 jar of those, if you can get them fresh, do that. Next, lemon juice. I squeezed out about 3 lemons, the more the merrier. A pound of ground round. I separated it into halves in case I decide I don't want to make a full batch. The rice, you'll need about, for 1 pound of meat, 2 cups of rice, just to kind of put it in perspective that way. Some 7 spice, as you may know. It's called allspice, more typically here in America, but I purchased this at the local Middle Eastern store as well. A dash of cinnamon, some salt, some pepper. This is just minced up onion, about a medium-sized onion, and about 2 to 3 cloves of garlic. So I just set it right here for an easy grab, but that's what's chopped up there. Some olive oil. This is imported from Lebanon. And what you want to do first is after you get your grape leaves out of the jar, they can be tricky. You want to rinse these out and separate them. So I just got a big pot and I started rinsing them out before putting them in the pot and then separating them. So they're very, very thin and delicate. So you can see how delicate these are. Very thin. If you can find leaves that are more of this like yellowy texture and color, I find that they just have a better taste. You want them medium in size. I don't get too picky. I've seen a lot of people that do absolutely beautiful work with grape leaves, but in any case, that's basically what you're looking for. So all in all, here are the ingredients. Another item that you might want to grab are some potatoes. You can also use tomatoes. And we are basically going to cut these up and use them to line the bottom of the pan. If you don't have these, it's okay. You can line the bottom with any extra grape leaves that we'll end up with. But the potatoes will work really nice, and they actually absorb some of the flavor, so they act as a nice garnish. I've also heard of some people using bone-in meat at the bottom of the pan and then layering the grape leaves on top of that, but I'm using potatoes this time, and I just thought I'd add that in there. You can also throw in some garlic when the water's boiling, but we'll show you that as we get into it. The last ingredient that you want is 1 can of tomato paste. Now that our onion and garlic have completed being sauteed, I'm going to go ahead and add our meat to the pan. And again, I'm using about a pound of ground meat here. And actually, you can use a little bit less if you'd like. And then now I'm going to add in the onions and sauteed garlic. Please note also that make sure to let the onions and the garlic cool after, for a few moments, just so that way you don't burn yourself when you're mixing. Next, I'm going to add the rice. Here's 1 cup, and we'll do another cup. quite a generous amount of rice. And so at this point, basically we're going to mix it around and then start in with the seasonings. So the first seasoning is just a little bit of allspice. And I'm just doing a nice little coat here. Next, I'm going to add just a little bit of cinnamon. And I know it looks like a lot, but there's really not much coming out of my container right now. So just a light dusting. And now it's time for your pepper. I love pepper, so I tend to be quite generous with it. And now your salt. And finally, let's grab that tomato paste. I'm just going to mix this in. This is just one small can. Okay, so there we've got the tomato paste. Now it's time to do a little bit more mixing. I just happen to like to wear gloves. Just, you know, the whole getting stuff under your nails thing kind of grosses me out. So, you know, obviously you don't have to do this, but this is just something that I recommend. It does get tricky when your gloves want to come off though, and you have to keep pulling them up. So that's about it. So everything's pretty much prepared now for the filling. And that was pretty easy. So that's what it looks like when it's ready to be formed. So what I'm going to do is clean all this up, and then the fun part, or the not so fun part, depending on how you look at it, is how to roll the grape leaves. So I'll be right back with that, and then we'll get those rolled up. So now we've got everything ready to go. This is the hardest part, is actually stuffing the grape leaves. This is tedious, so if you can get some help with this, definitely recommend it. So here's our grape leaf, and as you can see, there's two sides to a grape leaf. There's the ones with the ridges and the ones that are shiny. So we always want the shiny side down. So let's get you a little up close and personal here. So shiny side down, that way the rib is facing you. And with the grape leaf like this, we're just going to basically turn over turn over any leaves that are folded. The next part is that you want to grab a very small amount of meat. You don't want a piece of meat that's going to be in here like this. So the smaller the better, and you'll see why. So I'm going to take a little chunk, probably like this. Not much at all, because the rice will expand when it cooks. So what we'll do is we'll put it right here towards the bottom of the leaf, as such, and I roll these two parts over. So you have that. Next, I'm folding in, it's like a little package, the sides, just like this. Now you're going to roll. And if you want to get very good with it, these little ends here, we're actually going to roll in as well. And it takes a little bit of practice, but once you can really master, and this is hard to do with a glove, but once you master getting in those little side pieces and rolling up, that's what you're left with. One single grape leaf. So I like to start, and I usually organize them, so I'll just put them in groups like that. So let's just do another one. And that really is the perfect size leaf. So let's take out another one here. And these are they're very thin, so just be careful with them. And I wish my gloves were a little bit smaller because it's hard to work with. So you peel a leaf off. Let's put it down here. Kind of get any sides unraveled. Now you can probably see why this is a very tedious process and that any help is always appreciated. So now that we've got everything unraveled, again, the rib side is facing towards you. small little piece. Because the leaf is smaller, I'm grabbing even a smaller piece of the meat mixture. So I'd say about that much. Again, you can see where I placed it, towards the bottom. We're going to take these two little pieces here and here and flip them up as such. And I kind of do a little bit of a roll and a little press down a little bit. These side pieces are going to go over. Again, we're making a little package. We're rolling up. These two side pieces we're also rolling in. Another nice little package. Kind of like that. And then rolling up. And then pressing. So as you can see, there's a little bit of a size difference from one to the other. So once you're going through this, personally, I find it easier to just kind of start individual groups. Like, okay, that's a medium size and that's a small one. And it helps making it a little bit more organized for you when you finally go to compile them together. So we'll do one more, and I'll just do this one kind of quickly without much explanation. Here's a bigger leaf. All right, here we go. So as you've probably guessed, a bigger leaf means you can add a little bit more meat. Just like that. Let's go ahead and get that little side rolled under there. Bring in, making our package. Rolling up. Not forgetting to tuck in these corners right here to complete our little present of a stuffed grape leaf. Little pressure, and there you go. So now, as you can see, this one is very close in size to this one. So grape leaves come in all different sizes. So if you can try to organize your leaves, like I said, it'll make your job easier. So here you go. There's your first lesson on how to roll a grape leaf. So as you can see, we've got the grape leaves finalized. They're all rolled up. And this took me, probably about an hour to do all this. So I've tried to organize from large to small. We're going to start adding them in. Now that we have all of our grape leaves stuffed, as you can see, I'm taking some Idaho potatoes and I'm just cutting them in slices. So, I'm using about this width. You can do more or less. You don't have to be perfect, believe me. I am not a knife skilled person, so, again, something like this would work just fine. The reason behind this is that we're creating a buffer between the pan and the grape leaves. We don't want those grape leaves burned on the edges, so potatoes work wonderfully. Again, you can use meat, bone-in meat that's on the bottom. That way you get the flavors of meat coming up. You can use tomatoes. In fact, any of your extra grape leaves that you can, just kind of crumple up and put on the side, keep those as well. Right now we're going to get our pan warmed up, and I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil on the bottom of the pan, just to kind of cover it. In fact, maybe a little more. Now that we've got our olive oil added in the pan, we can start layering the potatoes first. You can also start to go around the sides of the pan or the pot if you wish to kind of cover any gaps, and this will provide a nice barrier for the grape leaves as well. Now let's put on our first layer of grape leaves. And this is actually pretty fun. You can really see this coming together. And I like to kind of mix and match and just find like the perfectly shaped one to fill in the gaps. As you can see, they're packed and they're pretty tight. and that's one layer. So now what we're going to do is we're going to layer a bit of za'atar seasoning over it. I'm going to add some garlic, and then we can start adding a little bit of liquid slowly. Next, we're going to do our other layer. Now it's time for a little za'atar seasoning. And I'm just going to sprinkle this right over this layer. I add a little bit of salt. Next, I'm going to place a few pieces of garlic. And next, some of that freshly squeezed lemon juice. Now it's time for the second layer. One last layer of seasoning. Now once you have everything layered, it's time to add some water. Turn the heat up. We're going to put some plates to add some weight. To top it off, there you go. So we're gonna cook this for about 40-45 minutes, and then we'll go from there. So basically when everything's done, your potatoes will be cooked. I drained out a little bit of the liquid out of the pan, and I'm just going through and basically grabbing the rolls gently, and I'm putting them in their own little separate container. So kind of like this. Now for a nice presentation, what you could do is get some nice lemon slices, put a nice, get a nice plate for these, and then add it on top. I mean, you could really make these look nice, but for this purpose, I'm just storing them. So in any case, I hope that you really enjoyed this. It was super fun to make. If you've got extra time and you enjoy doing things with your hands, this is a nice fun little recipe to really stay busy and to make a nice little treat. So again, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed, and voila! Bye!